Good morning, everyone. This morning we are going to cover the subject concerning to economics. Most of the third world nations have biggest problem of poverty, and the one poverty, just one culprit. The poverty can actually hinder all our progress. Progress in education, progress in economy, progress in healthcare, progress in promotion, progress in progress. Every single thing is hindered by one culprit, one biggest demon that we actually have in third world nations, that is poverty. Dr.Sen and many others have highlighted 6 different types of poverty. 6 types of poverty, which are the main fundamental, which are the most essential poverties, which can be isolated, which can be identified as the culprit, the culpable for all kinds of social, economic devastation in the nation. Poverty cannot actually allow any nation, masses, or individual to make any kind of progress. Just because poverty, the best of the best mind can be wasted. Children can be very smart, congenitally high, elevated IQ, but they cannot go to better school or they cannot attend better college just because of the poverty. Hardworking people who are aspirant poor, who have lots of aspiration to achieve success in life, but they are so poor that they cannot have any means to get education or get opportunity or start a shop or do any kind of even small kiosk business. Poverty has been killing Africa, Latin America, and Asia. If you go around Asia, you can find only basically three nations: China, Japan, and India in that order, which don't have bunch of problems created by or sired by the poverty to hamper the life and progress of people. China and India both are actually on the process and on the way of leaving the poverty behind. India has around 8 to 10% people living below the poverty line. China has only 2 to 3% people living under the poverty line. So below the poverty line people in India from 36% to now it's around 8%, and China has about 35% to now only 2%. Japan does not have anybody living below the poverty line. Africa, huge masses live under the poverty line. Latin America has the same and similar, identical problem of people living below the poverty line. Those people who live below the poverty line, no matter how hard they work, no matter how smart they are, no matter how high their IQ is, but they cannot achieve the proper opportunities, they cannot achieve adequate or equitable opportunities just because they are coming from the very poor strata or the lowest strata of the society. There are 6 types of poverty. These 6 types are situational poverty, absolute poverty, relative poverty, generational poverty, urban and rural poverty. We are going to elaborate one type of poverty at a time. So first type of poverty is situational poverty. Situational poverty means person is okay, person is not poor, family is making adequate amount of resources, adequate amount of amenities to survive. But all of a sudden, some crisis occur, like COVID, this kind of crisis, or 20 years ago, Temblor, earthquake in Kutch, or 9 years ago, tsunami in Japan. Or about 25 years ago, tsunami in Indonesia, Malaysia. This kind of sudden crisis can make people poor. Like a few days ago, we discussed that American people are queuing up in the queue for handouts, for free donation of food. Americans will never stand in line for anything at all. Now, food is the most basic commodity, and Americans don't have food to feed themselves. Now, that kind of poverty is created, is known as situational poverty. Disaster, calamity, catastrophe, sudden crisis, COVID, these kind of things. The tsunami, earthquake, businesses are all gone belly up. When this kind of situation occurs, anyone and everyone can become direly poor, and that poverty is known as situational poverty. Situational poverty is for a short time. As a matter of fact, not for too long, like next year again, by the grace of God, every situational poor in America, in Europe, especially in Germany, Spain, France, in India, they are all going to become rich again. So situational poverty is for a brief period of time. Point number 2 is absolute poverty. Now, absolute poverty is most of the time for long-term poverty. In absolute poverty, we face acute shortage of food, water, medicine, shelter, amenities. Nothing is available in the nation. Absolute poverty. When I was growing up at the time, India suffered from the absolute poverty, and still there are many pockets in India and Africa, Latin America, where people face absolute poverty. They don't get ample amount of food, they don't have ample amount of water, they have to walk 3-4 kilometers to fetch water, they have to work very hard to get 500 grams of cereal, grains, and they don't have medicine available, no access to education, no access to proper shelter, as we see in the villages, in the poor state villages where shelters are made of clay. There are no roads, no pakka roads, no water facilities, only small ponds are there, puddles are there, and people are fetching water from those ponds where cattle are also taking bath. This water is used for potable reason, for the drinking purpose. That is absolute poverty. Third is relative poverty. In relative poverty means we are working, our income is good, but economy is so poor, national economy, collective economy is so poor that we cannot actually make two ends meet. Our income is low, expenses are direly high. Our standard of living is low, our cost of living is terribly high. When this thing happens, then when person makes even 10,000 a month, but expense is 20,000. He is always poor, his family is always impoverished. They can never be able to make two ends meet. That is relative poverty. Point number 4 is generational poverty. Generational poverty means 2 or 3 generations pass through the poverty. First generation of grandpa. Grandpa's family was dirt poor. Then his son's family was also very severely, desperately destitute. Now, his grandpa's grandchildren are also passing through the same kind of absolute poverty. That happens mainly because the economy, ambient economy is very poor, opportunities are very, very scant. No educational facilities, no medical facilities, no proper environment, lots of ambience problem. Ambience is replete with problem, and ambient problem are faced by these people. They don't have anything to survive on. 3 or 4 generations passing through that kind of absolute poverty is recognized as generational poverty. Fifth poverty is urban poverty. Poverty in city area. City life is very hectic, very expensive, very problematic because the education is expensive, healthcare is extremely expensive, life is extremely expensive, shelters and clothes and food and every single thing is expensive, so much so that people cannot afford, so they are actually cut down their needs. They eat less amount of food, less quality of food, they wear cheaper clothes, live in the ghettos, don't have any kind of medical facilities, they try to get medicines from the public hospital where better medicines are not available, better services are not available, they are too crowded. Hence, urban poverty is due to fundamentally the paucity of basic amenities or rudimentary rudiments. Point number 6 is rural poverty. We all have been in rural area where we see that there is no hospital, there is no school, college, university, there is no industry, there is no library, there is no medical facility, there is nothing. How you can get rid of poverty? How you can have good riddance? How can you have good riddance over here of your poverty? Because those elements, those tools, those instruments which can help us to get rid of our poverty, like education, healthcare, job opportunities, high tech, industries. These are the fundamental factors which can help us to get rid of our poverty, to erase our poverty, to eliminate and obliterate our poverty. These factors are absolutely positively missing in rural areas. So, rural poverty is due to the lack of jobs, high tech, education, healthcare, industry, everything is deficient, everything is lacking, everything is totally absent. And that is why people living in rural area suffer severely from the poverty bouts. God bless everyone on this planet from all kinds of adversities, all kinds of hardship, all kinds of maladies, afflictions, all kinds of calamities, catastrophe. Amen. Thank you very much. See you again tomorrow. Bye.